the last 5 presidents of America: Clinton, George W. Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden, back to Trump. I had to deal with 301 issues, with compulsory licensing controversies, with plans to sell F-16 aircraft to Pakistan. And I think in many ways the Pahalgam terrorist attack on April 22nd, this sentiment in India that look, enough is enough. These are terrorist organizations who have the equivalent of the corporate headquarters in the populated towns of Pakistan. Everybody knows no yielding to nuclear blackmail, no impunity to terrorists, no more free pass that they are proxies. And we will do what we have to do to defend our people.
Let's move to a topic that a lot of people in this room care about, which is the US-India relationship. The relationship between US and India has seen real momentum in the recent years, with some major highs, but also its fair share of friction, such as the recent trade and tariff situation to student visa concerns. Looking ahead, how do you see this partnership evolving over the next 2 years? And in your view, what's your vision for this partnership?
I would say, again, I say this over multiple administrations, but particularly for the last 10 years, 11 years. If you look at the trend lines in India-US relations, I think the trend lines have been very positive. Just think back over the last 5 presidents of America: Clinton, George W. Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden, back to Trump. 5 very different presidents. And yet, at the end of every presidency, if you were to do a dipstick on India-US relations, you'll find it's better off than it was at the beginning of that presidency. And the trend line over the last 25 years has actually been very, very strong. Because I think there are structural factors that work for the relationship. That the economics, the technology, the human bridges, the education, the security, the energy, all these are today drivers of the relationship. Now, are there arguments, are there differences, are there episodes? Sure, it happens. It won't be for the first time. In fact, at every one of these presidencies, I can think of something which at that time was a friction point. I remember even the time when I was ambassador here. I literally came in a few days after we had a problem related to one of our diplomats in the city. And then I had to deal with 301 issues, with compulsory licensing controversies, with plans to sell F-16 aircraft to Pakistan. We dealt with it. So it's not, relationships will never be free of issues, even I would say differences. I think what matters is the ability to deal with it and to keep that trend going in the positive direction. Now, you spoke about trade. Yes, we are in the middle, hopefully more than the middle, of a very intricate trade negotiation. Obviously, my hope would be that we bring it to a successful conclusion. I cannot guarantee it because there's another party to that discussion. But no question, we do think today that trade, there will have to be give and take. And just like the US or people in the US may have views about India, people in India have views about the US too. And we'll have to find a kind of a meeting ground there. I believe it's possible. And I think we'll have to watch the space for the next few days.
So moving on, you've taken a strong stance on cross-border terrorism emanating from Pakistan. What is India's message to global powers and international institutions on this issue? And what diplomatic and strategic red lines remain with Pakistan?
This morning I was at an exhibition on terrorism at the United Nations. This was something which our embassy, our mission to the UN had organized. And the reason we did that, we had a number of ambassadors from other countries who were there as well, is because we believe that terrorism is actually a threat to everybody. That no country should use it as an instrument to further its policies, because at the end of the day it comes back to bite everyone. And if we take the view that one terrorist act or one terrorist organization or one sponsor of terrorism is justified here, or you give them a free pass or you underplay it, it can easily happen. In fact, it does happen in other situations. So there has to be, the message to the world has to be that there should be zero tolerance for terrorism, that there should be no circumstances, no excuse, no justification under which you would allow, support, finance, sponsor terrorist acts. Now, in our particular case, we unfortunately had an experience of this. The experience has been very intense for the last 4 decades. But actually it started from the time of our independence. If you see, within a few months of our independence, terrorists were sent into Kashmir with this idea that they are proxies and they are tribal invaders, and then soon enough the Pakistani army followed. So we have battled terrorism really intensively for the last 4 decades, and we've had some horrific cases. Everybody would remember the Mumbai attack, and where really a major global metropolis was, for a few days really brought to a standstill with attacks on a scale which could not be contemplated, and which particularly targeted foreigners, especially of this country. We've had an attack on our parliament, a parliament meeting in session with the intent of taking lawmakers and the people governing India hostage at that time. That it was foiled was a different matter. But do look at the dangerous intent and the risks inherent in an enterprise like this. We've had a string of these attacks, and we've now reached a point, and I think in many ways the Pahalgam terrorist attack on April 22nd, this sentiment in India that look, enough is enough. That we are, because the Pahalgam was meant, it was an act of economic warfare. It was meant to destroy tourism in Kashmir, which was the mainstay of the economy. It was also meant to provoke religious violence, because people were asked to identify their faith before they were killed. So we decided that we cannot let terrorists function with impunity. The idea that they are on that side of the border and that therefore prevents retribution, I think is a proposition that needs to be challenged, and that is what we did. So now bear in mind, these are not people who operate in secret. These are terrorist organizations who have the equivalent of their corporate headquarters in the populated towns of Pakistan. Everybody knows what is the headquarters of organization A and organization B, and those are actually the buildings, the headquarters that we destroyed. So we are very clear, there will be no impunity for terrorists, that we will not deal with them any longer as proxies, and spare the government which supports and finances in many ways motivates them. We will not allow nuclear blackmail to prevent us from responding, because we've also heard this for too long, that you are both nuclear countries, therefore the other guys will come and do horrible things, but you mustn't do anything because it gets the world worried. Now we're not going to fall for that. If he is going to come and do things, we are going to go there and also hit the people who did this. So no yielding to nuclear blackmail, no impunity to terrorists, no more free pass that they are proxies. And we will do what we have to do to defend our people.